We all know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like you see a video online. Maybe it's hilarious, maybe it's heartwarming, maybe it's just plain bizarre and you can't help but click share.
Right.
But why? What makes certain content go viral while other stuff just sits there? Today, we are diving deep into some cutting-edge research that's trying to unlock the secrets of online engagement.
Yeah. And what's so interesting about this particular study is that it goes beyond like just analyzing the videos themselves.
Okay.
It focuses on the viewer and the subtle ways your body reacts to what you see on the screen.
Okay, so we're not talking about those like buttons or comment sections this
Yeah.
research gets under the hood, right?
Exactly.
Tell us about that.
This study used some pretty sophisticated technology to track viewers' physiological responses.
Okay.
We're talking facial expression analysis software that can pick up on microexpressions you might not even be aware you're making,
Wow.
and GSR sensors that measure tiny changes in sweat on your skin.
Okay, for those of us who don't speak fluent sciencey jargon, GSR sweat sensors, break that down for me.
Think of it this way. Have you ever felt your palms getting sweaty during a suspenseful movie?
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe your heart races a bit when you watch a particularly exciting chase scene. That's your body's way of expressing arousal, whether it's excitement, anticipation, or even just plain amusement. GSR sensors measure those subtle changes in sweat that go along with these heightened emotional states.
So it's like they're eavesdropping on your body's secret reactions to what you're watching.
In a sense, yes. And by combining this biometric data with information about the viewers themselves, things like their demographics and their past online behavior, the researchers wanted to see if they could predict not just if someone would engage with a video, but how WMUCH.
Fascinating. So they gathered all this data. What did they do with it?
They showed a diverse group of 64 college students, mostly in that 19 to 22 age range, a series of 13 videos.
So,
We're talking everything from those cute animal doing silly things, videos that always seem to find an audience, to more complex content like a robot solving a Rubik's Cube at lightning speed. And yes, they even threw in some commercially produced ads to see how those stacked up against the more organic content.
sounds like a pretty entertaining research study, at least for the participants.
Right.
But I'm guessing it wasn't all fun and games. What were the researchers looking for?
They wanted to see if there were any patterns in the biometric data that could predict how engaged someone would be with a particular video. Would someone with a higher GSR reading be more likely to share a video? Did certain facial expressions mean someone was more likely to leave a comment? They were looking for those hidden connections between our bodies and our online behavior.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Anyone who's spent any time online knows that some things just naturally seem to get more attention than others. Kittens, babies laughing, those kinds of things are practically guaranteed to rack up views. Did the research confirm what we already know about viral content?
It did, to some extent. For instance, the video that got the highest engagement scores across the board was one featuring a chimp at the zoo. Let's just say it involves some questionable aim and a few unfortunate onlookers.
So sometimes our primal instincts for humor, or maybe just our fascination with anything chaotic, really do shine through.
Absolutely. But here's where the findings take an unexpected turn. While the content itself did play a role in engagement, it wasn't the whole story. The researchers found that things like a viewer's income and their past sharing behavior were surprisingly strong predictors of engagement.
Wait, really? So someone who makes more money is more likely to share a video of a chimp? Well,
It wasn't about what they were watching specifically, but rather their overall tendency to engage. For example, someone who had already shared a video that day was statistically more likely to share another one regardless of the content. This suggests there's a behavioral component to virality that goes beyond simply liking what you see.
so even if you and I are watching the same video, laughing at the same jokes, our individual likelihood of sharing that video could be completely different based on our past behavior or even our income.
It seems that way.
That's fascinating and a little bit unnerving, don't you think?
And that's where this research gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because by analyzing the biometric data, they could pick up on these subtle cues, these almost subconscious reactions that kind of betray our level of engagement.
So spill the tea. Did they find a magic formula? Like, is there a specific facial expression that screams, I'm about to make this go viral?
Not exactly a magic formula, but they did uncover some fascinating patterns. For instance, while joy was a strong predictor of engagement, perhaps unsurprisingly, they also found that more subtle expressions like a cheek raise or even how long someone kept their mouth open correlated with higher engagement scores.
So even if you're not grinning ear to ear, Your face might be giving away just how much you're loving that video of a cat riding a Roomba.
It's precisely. And it gets even more intriguing when you factor in the GSR data.
Right.
Remember those sweaty palms?
Yeah?
Well, the researchers found that overall excitement levels, as measured by these tiny sweat responses, were significant in predicting engagement.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. So it's not just about whether we consciously find something funny or interesting. It's about those almost involuntary reactions. Those moments when our bodies betray a deeper level of, like, captivation.
Exactly. And that's why this research is so valuable. It's providing a glimpse into those subconscious responses that we might not even be aware of, but that are clearly influencing our behavior online.
This is all pretty mind-blowing. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
Yeah.
What does all of this mean for the average person who's, just scrolling through their feed, trying to decide what's worth watching?
Well, I think it encourages us to be more mindful of our own viewing habits. Think
Sure.
about those micro moments when you're watching a video. When do you feel that little surge of excitement, that pull that keeps your eyes glued to the screen? Those split-second reactions, those are the gold nuggets for content creators.
So pay attention to those, like, sweaty palm moments.
Right.
And maybe even those subtle cheek raises.
Yeah.
Because they might be telling us something about what truly resonates with us on, like, a deeper level.
And for anyone creating content, whether it's a video, an article, a social media post, this research is a powerful reminder that understanding your audience is key. It's not just about producing something technically well-made or even objectively good. It's about tapping into those deep-seated preferences that drive genuine engagement.
That makes a lot of sense. But I have to admit, it's a little unsettling to think that our reactions might be so predictable, that maybe we're not as in control of our online behavior as we think we are.
Yeah, it's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? The more we learn about what makes us tick, the more we kind of have to wonder, are we really the ones in control?
Exactly. And here's where I think it gets even more interesting. This research was all about videos, right? But think about how these principles might apply to all kinds of content, articles, social media posts, even the news we consume.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild thought, isn't it? This idea that there might be a universal language of engagement, these subtle signals our bodies give off that go beyond whatever we're actually looking at.
So are we becoming predictable? Are our likes and shares and comments just a reflection of some deep-seated algorithm playing out in our brains? Or are we just starting to understand this hidden language, a language that's always been there, but that we're only now beginning to, like, decipher?
I think that's the question we all need to be asking, right? This research is really just a starting point, just a glimpse into this incredibly complex interplay between, well, everything. The content, technology, our own subconscious minds.
It's like we're holding up a mirror to ourselves. But the reflection is still a little blurry, a little bit out of focus.
But that's the beauty of research like this, right? It raises more questions than it answers. And it challenges us to, really think critically about our relationship with the digital world.
And maybe even more importantly, it encourages us to actually pay attention to those subtle cues, those sweaty palm moments that might be trying to tell us something about ourselves and what really grabs our attention.
Perhaps the real takeaway here is that the more we understand these kind of hidden forces, the more power we have to navigate the digital world intentionally, with more awareness.
So the next time you find yourself reaching for that share button, take a moment to think. Why? Is it because you genuinely connect with what you just watched? Or is it something a little deeper, a little more subconscious, a little bit more sweaty palmed?
Maybe it's a little both. And that's fine. The important thing is to be aware, to be curious, and to never stop exploring this fascinating connection between our minds and the digital world.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the mysteries of your own sweaty palms. Until next time, keep diving deep.